Well, howdy, pard. Today we're headed 200 years back in history to the wild, woolly, and downright legendary world of the Rocky Mountain fur trade and a reenactment of the first Mountain Man Rendezvous held in 1825. Grab your possibles bag. We're heading into history. Among those assembled at the first rendezvous in 1825 were men soon to be legends: Jim Bridger, Jedidiah Smith, Tom Fitzpatrick, James Beckworth, William Sublette, John Coulter, and others. These weren't just names, they were legends of the Rocky Mountains, trappers, scouts, explorers, and survivors. Join me as we walk around the Rocky Mountain National Rendezvous in Lone Tree, Wyoming.
Today's rendezvous, in large part, are very similar to the rendezvous of yesteryear in that people come to trade goods, to get resupplied for the winter seasons of crafting things, and we come to see who made it. And that was a huge factor in the old rendezvous. Yeah. Who made it this year? Yeah. Who went under? Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the whole thing of getting a rendezvous and seeing those faces that you haven't seen for a whole season. It's kind of like that with us.
That's very true.
You know, and we run into people, old Jack, he's pretty crippled up now, and old Joe, you hear about him, he busted his foot, and you hear all these stories, but you still see the people come, and that, to us, that's really the big thing.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's very similar to the old days.
It is.
Very similar.
It is. The main pleasures we keep here is the camaraderie. Do a little trading and shopping, of course, but it's the people and the camaraderie and the visiting. We do more visiting here than any other activity of the rendezvous. Mm-hmm. We spend more time just visiting with one another. That's really a great time.
Well, any other activity in our life. Mm-hmm. You know, how many times do you go over to the neighbor's house? And, if you go to church, then you associate with people there. And if you have a job, associate with people. But to just sit down and visit with people and have the time to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Not really be on a schedule. That's
We've lost the art of visitation.
Yeah.
We just don't have it in the old sense like we used to have. In 1800 and a decade more, I moved to St. Louis just a boy no more. I'm going out west, gonna make a stand. I'm gonna be a mountain man. 'Cause I met a man named Fontenelle. He said, son, about the mountains, well, let me tell you, I have been there and I have seen. If you wanna come west with me. Well, we lit out, Fontenelle and me, on a flat keel boat up the Missouri. With 12 other men, I took my turn about keeling on a boat. Well, I would learn. Well, it's 16 hours while singing a song, walking a plank just 6 feet long. It was up to the one and back to the next. It was 16 hours of breaking our necks. Well, after 3 long months of tug and groan, we got that boat to Yellowstone. We cut us some logs and built us a fort, but old Fontenelle said it's just a start. 'Cause the winter's coming on and the meat's not made, so it's off to the Indian camp so we could trade. The first camp we came to was that of the Sioux, with their steels and knives and beads of blue. Sure was scared, boys. Don't mind saying I wished I wasn't there. But old Fontenelle was a mean old cuss. He never let them Indians get the better of us. 'Cause I left there on a sore old mare. I was leading a bay who was packed right fair, with buffalo, venison, and some elk too. Enough meat to see the winter through. Winter came and it sure was mean, the coldest time that I had ever seen. In cold water from dawn till dusk, hauling at traps and stinking like musk. While the winters were long and the life was hard, while we were free men in God's backyard. When springtime came, I bundled my blues, and I rode off to rendezvous. Now 20 years, it don't seem so long, for all them beaver and the freedom to be gone. Why it didn't last, boys, I won't say, but thank you, God, for giving us our day. Yeah, the winters were long and the life was hard, but I was a free man in God's backyard. Why it didn't last, boys, I won't say, but thank you, God, for giving me my day. Oak Smith, that's one of the best, probably one of the best songs I've ever heard written about the Mountain Man and that time period.
Is that one of you guys' originals? Or?
That's a good friend of ours from Telluride, Colorado. Oak Smith wrote that song.
Beautiful.
When I was getting ready to produce my 2 CDs, I said, Oak, I'd really like to put that song on the CD. He'd never even written it down. I transcribed it sitting around camp one night. I said, Oak, this is a fabulous song. And I asked him, I said, do you mind if I put it on? And he goes, it's your song, man. Have at it. So I put, even on the CD, I put used by permission.
Yeah.
But that's Oak Smith.
What a blessing. That's a fantastic song.
It is.
And a great story.
It is.
Thank
Tremendous
you for
story.
sharing that.
Yep. One of the best I've ever heard, probably.
You know, it's rare you hear a real good Rendezvous or Mountain Man song. And when you do, you know it.
No, he's written some good ones. He wrote one about 1838. And
One Last Time and Trapping
and
Man.
Long Hunt Day.
Wow.
Ashley's Party, Trapping Man. So yeah, we've written some Mountain Men songs, and we enjoy coming out here and doing them for our friends.
Sure.
And that's the big thing.
The Mountain Men at the 1825 Rendezvous were part of Ashley's 100, hired by General William Henry Ashley to explore and tramp the vast unknowns of the American West. What they found was a land of staggering beauty, danger, and opportunity, and they lived a life few could imagine today. William Ashley chose a location on the banks of the Green River near present-day Lone Tree, Wyoming, to hold the very first Mountain Man Rendezvous. It was a game changer. No more hauling furs east to St. Louis. The trade and trade goods came to the trappers, and that's where our moccasins are making tracks today.
Well, this is my first trip to the Rocky Mountain Nationals. Have you been here before?
I've been, the last one I went to was Pole Bridge, 2001.
A little while ago.
It's been a while,
Been a while.
but probably another 100 in between though.
Do you trade at all the rendezvous or just,
Yeah,
do you?
I do.
Tell me a little bit about what you got set up here.
Well, I make all the leather work. I make all these hunting pouches, the pouches over there with the powder horns, all these little pouches here, and I hand dip all these beeswax candles. So I stay pretty busy, and I build those guns. The top 3 are 45 calibers, and the bottom one's a 58 caliber.
What do you go by? What's your Mountain Man name, or do you have one?
Oh, they just call me Smokey.
Smokey.
Yeah.
Smokey, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, thank you, sir.
The first rendezvous was part Wild West Bazaar, part Backwoods Festival. Beaver pelts were traded for powder, lead, knives, and cloth. Whiskey flowed and competitions flared up. Friendships and rivalries were forged in the firelight.
Will you tell me a little bit about your shop?
I am the daughter of one of the 13 founding members of the Nebraska Muzzleloading Rifle Association. I grew up doing this. Thought everybody did it till and Ed Stone taught me how to make moccasins when I was 9, and Dick Lloyd and Ed also taught me beadwork, and I've been doing it ever since. So
Do you make the leather goods in here? Or?
I make everything in there. I made everything.
Wow, it's beautiful.
I do not tan hides. I realized at a very young age that was more work than I was in for. I know my limits, but I love doing the beadwork and trying a new style and learning a new culture every year.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you today.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Thanks for taking it.
John.
Trader John.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your shop.
I have some clothes, period correct knives. Those are patch knives and things that they would have used back in the day. Of course, the tails. I have porcupine quill hat bands over here. Bunch of knife sheaths, medicine bags, medallions, and I do a lot of powwows also. Felt hats, and a lot of beadwork, all done by hand. And the leather work's done by hand also.
It's a nice little shop.
Thank you.
Good assortment of stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Two old mares and I, just north of Lyman up there, out in the flats. We came, it was a big plateau, and then it kind of had a draw in it. And that morning, the clouds were buried in that draw, you know, and it looked like I could just walk from the plateau right over to the clouds right on the other plateau. And so when I got down there, all at once, there was this little draw, and the darndest acrylic painted rainbow you ever saw in your life was right in front of me. My old mares stopped and their ears went up like, what is that? It was that bright, and it wasn't very wide. Probably wasn't, I know it wasn't 50 feet wide. And it was so bright, it just got you. So we rode towards it, and of course the closer you get, it faded out. But then when I went under it, or I say under it, where it was at, I went on down in there, and I'll be a son of a gun, I looked back, and that rainbow was behind me.
Oh my gosh.
And only the two mares and I witnessed it.
You make all these knives?
My son Corey does. So I do the leather stuff and I do the guns, and he does the knives.
You have guns and knives.
That's pretty tacky right there too.
You go to quite a few rendezvous and trade shows.
Honest with you, this is the first one we've been to as a trader. So we're really rookies in the business, and we're just learning the ropes of things. So
It's been a nice shop. You got some nice products here, beautiful stuff.
yeah, Corey does a great job with those knives, that's for sure.
Yeah, very nice. Mike?
New York Mike.
New York Mike. Tell me about yourself and how you got into mountain man lifestyle.
So my first rendezvous was Moon of the Crow in New Mexico, 1986. I had lived on Long Island at the time, and I did things back there, shooting black parrot and whatnot. I came out, visited my uncle who lived in Safford, Arizona, and he goes, Mike, we're going to rendezvous. And I had just gotten divorced, so I was somewhat depressed. So into the truck we go, and we drive for 2 days, and drove through Phoenix, and I realized that 122 degrees is a bad idea. We get to the first rendezvous, and we're in a camper, so tin teepee at the time, and we sit down in lounge chairs in the afternoon, and he gives me about 24 ounces of tequila and ice, and I was hooked. And then we shot, he had a gun for me, percussion gun, he was shooting an original flinter. And I was like, I love shooting, and I had since I was a child. So every year I'd fly back, and then 3-4 years later, going through Colorado, I bought a piece of property at the bottom of Colorado. And it took 9/11 to get me here, but that was enough to where I went home and said, "Hun, it's time to go." And the house is already here. So we took over the winter and we sold everything. And the next summer we came out, and we didn't have jobs, but we went to the bank and paid off the house. And then we went to Lowe's, bought appliances, and we're in Colorado now for 23 years. And so I do all the rendezvous, and I retired going on 4 years ago. So now there's no excuse for not going to rendezvous.
Yeah.
And, this is a blast, this one. So 39 years for me.
Awesome.
And medallions you get at the rendezvous. Okay, after the first one that weighs like 40 pounds, there's just a giant drawer full now.
Mm-hmm.
Because someday maybe when I got nothing to do, I'll take a blanket and sew them all on, but then I'm going to need a block and tackle to put it up on the wall somewhere. But I came Monday, I helped with the work crew. I'd run the range sometimes. I helped this time, dog soldier, everything but bushway.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, rendezvous is my hobby, my vacation, I get to go to at least 2 weeks a month of stuff. And this is a stretch to get here in one day, but there's people that drive from Florida, for instance. And so, walk around, have a good attitude towards people, help them. And being helpful is what attracts new people.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see newbies, or like the girls are putting up a tent over there, I'm showing the boy, okay, this is what you do, let's put this wedge up, stop and help people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's rewarding to be good in life.
Sure.
And then karma rewards you, and you don't get hit by a train. Everything has, this hat's 21 years old. I bought it, met somebody with it who passed away right after. One of my other friends, I gave him this hat. The year after that, he lived 10 years, he passed away. I got the hat back, so it's got memories of people.
Yeah.
So, let's face it, the older you get, the more your friends pass.
Mm-hmm.
The sad part is when they're younger than you, so you be there for their family. So anyway, you got all them, the ladies are coming back, the kids. This is a giant family.
Mm-hmm.
This is as close, you might understand what like a motorcycle group is.
Mm-hmm.
You need help here? I mean, not everyone will help you, but the vast majority will give you the clothes off their back to help you here. So this is the best experience. And if you can get the kids started, like you did, and they make this their life, because look at how many little kids we saw today.
Yep.
And the public's bringing kids in, so it'll be really good in the future. I don't want to see it pass in my lifetime. And sadly, the phone.
We gotta keep it going.
The phone will do it. Hey, hon.
Didn't even don't.
And we, like they're from Florida, and her husband's name is Travis. But there's like 4 Travises here, so he's Florida Travis.
Sure.
And Travis, that's the brain tanner. He's brain tan Travis. And Missouri Travis.
Yeah.
And I'm Mike, but I have New York Mike, so there's only one of me, thank God.
Yeah.
And all the other Mikes have to think of something for themselves. And unfortunately, if you do something incredibly stupid, you'll get a rendezvous name.
Yes, you will.
And
yes,
New York Mike
will.
is very good, because there could be way other bad things that have happened.
Yep.
You're wearing a kilt and you're not paying attention because you're a man. You could get a name from that.
Yes.
That's not good. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks, Mike.
You're quite welcome. Pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. Rendezvous were known to be lively affairs where all were welcome. Fur trappers, Indians, native wives and children, harlots, travelers, and later tourists who would venture from as far off as Europe to observe the rendezvous festivities. James Beckworth described rendezvous as, quote, mirth, song, dancing, shouting, trading, running, jumping, singing, racing, target shooting, yarns, frolic, with all sorts of extravagance that white men or Indians could invent.
That's a place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was us.
Beautiful spot. So.
I mean, yeah, look at that vista.
And we get a breeze on this side of the trees.
Yeah, this is a nice spot.
The tradition of the rendezvous would last through the 1840s, moving across the Rockies every year wherever the pelts are rich and the trappers gathered. Today, that spirit of the original rendezvous is kept alive by passionate, living historians.
So there's a book called the Prairie Traveler by a Captain Marcy. And in that book, he describes what he calls the Prairie Traveler bed and other pieces of furniture. But what it is you make a headboard and footboard. These legs will swivel so you can fold them up. And then these 2x4s with a piece of canvas and notch them. And you just hook that together and throw your bed and blanket on it. And not everybody would carry them, and usually if they had one, Mom would get the bed.
Mm-hmm.
She needed a good night's sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so my wife and I, we just make two of them, we push them together, and that's our Mountain Man bed.
All the comforts of home.
Yep.
Thank you.
No event does it bigger and more authentic than the Rocky Mountain National Rendezvous. Held each summer in a new location across the American West, the Rocky Mountain National Rendezvous is a full immersion pre-1840s event. After initial camp setup, only period-correct gear is allowed. No modern camping. No cell phones out in the open. Just canvas, cast iron, black powder, beaver hats, and buckskins. One of the proud sponsors and hosts of this event is the American Mountain Man Association, or the AMM. These folks are the real deal. They don't just dress like mountain men, they live it. These modern mountain men and women go to great lengths to hone their primitive skills and deep historical knowledge, all to preserve the skills and life ways of the fur trade era. If you've ever dreamed of stepping back into the 1830s and the fur trade era, the Rocky Mountain National Rendezvous is your doorway to the past. It's not just a reenactment, it's a living history time machine. Whether you're into black powder, buckskins, or just the raw grit of early American frontier history, there's a place for you at Rendezvous. And who knows, maybe we'll share some coffee around the campfire or under the stars sometime. You never know who you're going to meet at a rendezvous. Stop into the next tent with me, and we'll meet a mountain man who rode his horse and retraced the footsteps along the same trail that Jedidiah Smith took from Santa Fe, New Mexico, all the way across Utah and into California. He's got some fascinating stories.
Wow. And went from Santa Fe up to Cache Valley to the American Mountain Man Rendezvous.
Mm-hmm.
And then left Cache Valley and went to, I went to San Bernardino.
Mm-hmm.
When I got as far as San Bernardino, I thought, that's it. We're not getting any closer to LA. This is nuts.
And you did that all on horseback?
Yes.
Were you ponying a horse? You had a pack horse?
I had a pack horse and a riding horse.
Mm-hmm.
And the pack horse didn't carry anywhere near as much as my riding horse did when I got aboard.
Uh-huh.
I went very light. I made all my clothes. I made the saddles. I made everything pretty much, except for the guns. I'm not a gun builder.
Mm-hmm.
I've made a couple of guns, and I decided I was going to have a 58 caliber blowgun because it wasn't good enough to shoot. So yeah, I mean, it's been my life. When I announced in 1967, I'm going to make a living as a mountain man. My college instructors, my parents, friends all said, there's no way in hell you're going to make a living at this. You've got to get a real job. You got to cut your hair and, get rid of the mustache and get a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I believed that's what I was supposed to be doing, but I thought, I really want to do this. And I did it.
So you decided to become a mountain man and take the same track as Jedidiah Smith coming up.
Yes. My dream was to get on a horse and live like the mountain man and travel around and do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about it for years and years and years. And I got sick of listening to me. And so did all my friends. It was like, is this guy ever going to shut up and do something? And finally I decided that I had enough experience and knowledge that I could do it safely.
Mm-hmm.
And the horse, of course, came first. You know, I mean, I had to take care of the horse, and everybody's like, oh, you know, you got all this neat equipment. Yeah, and it's nothing you want to carry around. When the horse stops, the trip stops. And so in '76, I took my first trip, and that was from Santa Fe up to Cache Valley to the American Mountain Man Rendezvous. And I had such a wonderful time, and I had been snowed on, and my blankets were frozen to the ground. One morning when I woke up, I had to kick myself out of the snow and the mud to get up and move.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and there were days when it's not as much fun as other days. But I loved every minute of it. I was living my dream, is what it really came down to. And so I thought, yeah, we're in Cache Valley, let's start in Cache Valley and follow Jed's trip. And that was because it was also the most difficult thing I could think of. You know, I mean, you can get on a horse and ride around many places, at least you could in those days. But I wanted something that was going to be more challenging. And so I thought, this is it. What's more challenging than crossing the Mojave Desert on a horse in August? So away I went. And worked out okay for numerous different reasons.
Well, you survived. Was it just you and your horses, or did you have a companion? Or
I organized a group of guys that were going to go, and at the rendezvous when we got together, I had purchased all the horses because they were from around the country. I bought the horses, I paid for the vet bills, I had all this stuff ready to go, and they got there, and this loudmouth member of the organization talked them all out of not going. And so I was stuck with all these horses and all these bills. And all the guys said, you know, well, I'm not going to go on a trip, but you can have the horse. And I thought, fantastic. I'm going to take off here with 8 horses. What the hell do I need 8 horses for? So I jettisoned all the horses as quick as I could and just took one horse for me to ride, which was the one I had bought in New Mexico years before, and a pack horse that had no clue what a rope was for. Hit the end of the rope, he'd go nuts. I mean, we would rodeo all the time with that. But he could eat sticks and brush that nothing else would eat. He didn't lose any weight on the trip.
Oh my gosh.
I think he gained weight. He was a desert horse, and like I said, he would eat virtually anything that was there. Because I crisscrossed Utah diagonally 2 years, twice. And in that time, I met 2 guys, if I remember right, that gave me a hard time about being on their property. If I saw somebody that owned the property or thought that they owned the property, I'd go ask. Otherwise, I just went. And I was on the interstate, I was on highways, I was cross lots, I was in national forest at BLM. I mean, you're just going. I carried fence pliers so that I could take a fence down and take the horses over and put it back up. So I never had to worry about some rancher whose cows were loose chasing me down to shoot me because he's PO'd about that. And I can understand it, and never, you know, that just made sense to me. But yeah, the one guy that gave me a hard time was the foreman of a ranch. And I had talked to his boss, the owner of the ranch, as he was leaving for the holiday weekend. It was Memorial Day weekend. And he said, oh yeah, you can camp there, grab a bale of hay, and, you know, put up anywhere you want to do it. Well, he didn't tell the foreman. And I got everything set up, and the foreman found me sitting in there, and he was like, what are you doing? Who are you? What is this? And I said, well, the owner, and I didn't even have the owner's name.
Oh my gosh.
I'm horrible with names, and I didn't know what the man's name was. He was in his car leaving, and he said, oh yeah, no problem, go on in. And that was our big conversation. And so I said, well, the owner said, you know, I could camp here. And he said, he didn't tell me nothing about that. And he said, I want you off here. Get the hell out. So I packed everything up and I went down. This was in the little town of Torrey, Utah.
Okay. I know Torrey.
Right outside of Capitol Reef. And I met this old boy who had been, I think, 1927, all-round cowboy. First man I met. Had the buckle and everything to prove it. And I got on the other end of town, and there was a little gas station, cafe, grocery store there. And I asked the guy who was there, I said, you know, I'm looking for a place to stay. It's getting dark, and I'm exhausted. I don't think if the horses hadn't brought me out of the desert and crossed from Capitol Reef, that I'd have made it out. I was that worn out from everything. And he said, "Oh, I got stables in a corral right here behind the place. You can stay there."
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, okay, and I stayed there, and I started the trip with $45 and lost 15 in the first hour and a half somewheres on the trail.
Oh my gosh.
So by the time I got to him, I was down to like 87 cents. And I went into the cafe and I had dinner, which was about 78 or 79 cents worth of dinner. I mean, I was right on the edge. When I paid the bill, I said to him, I said, "Well, that's it. You've cleaned me out. I got 10 cents or 12 cents left or whatever." This guy had never seen me before. And he says to me, "Well, if you're going to stay back there," he said, "come on in and eat, get what groceries you need, keep a tab, and when you get money, send it to me."
Wow.
And I was like, you know, this is incredible. And then after a couple of days, and I got feeling better, and I had tied up with a group of ladies that wanted to go out into the desert and party.
Mm-hmm.
I said to the guy that ran the cafe, I said, "Think there's any work around here?" And he said, "Oh, I'll put out the word." And everybody came to the cafe for coffee in the morning or breakfast or whatever. And he said, "Hey, you know, there's a guy in town here. He's looking to do work." Well, I drove cattle up the mountain. I drove cattle down the mountain. I babysat. I tore down fences and corrals and buildings and tore them all down to the dump. I built concrete forms and poured concrete for people. And while I was doing this, they were moving my horses all over Torrey, Utah, eating out all the ditches that needed to be cleaned.
Oh my gosh.
And so if I go into the cafe, people say, "Oh, your horses are over on 6 East, 4 South." "No, I moved them over here." No, I moved them from there. They're over here. I had to go scouting down looking for the horses all the time. But they were, you know, they were getting rested and having good food, and it was working out well.
Yeah.
You know, after about a week or so as I was there, I thought, okay, and moved on. That was the first trip. The second trip was not, well, it was just different. There was a strip down through Utah on a diagonal called the Skyline Drive.
I'm familiar with that.
And that ranges, as you know, from a dirt track to a paved road to back into dirt and then virtually nothing. It peters away. And I followed that, so I was up above everything in the mountains. But after I got done with that trip, there was a piece of Jed Smith's journal that had never been put out before. They had discovered it and it was published. And so I got that right away and read it. And I swear that some of the campsites that he describes were exactly the same campsites that I said.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, when he talked about, you know, the bluffs over here and the rock formations and the coloring and stuff, and I thought, yeah, I was there.
Oh my gosh.
Had to be. I talked to National Geographic, and they were covering it. I said to him, I said, you know, all the Sullivan and Morgan, I guess it was, that wrote stuff about Jed Smith, all had him following basically Interstate 15. And I said, well, yeah, that's a direct route. But these guys got horses. They're trying to make a living. They're trying to trap. There's nothing to trap out there in the desert. You have to be over in the mountains where there's trees and beaver. And so that's where I am. There's no sense in me being along Interstate 15 all the time when I can be in the mountains. And so that's what I did. And yeah, he substantiated basically that that was where they were, and that's where I should have been.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
The same footprints and the same camp.
Yeah, the ground dictates what you do.
Exactly.
And the ground dictated that I be over here in the mountains and not out there in the desert, that's all.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
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 The 1838 rendezvous site, the original site of the 1838 rendezvous. We were up there having a rendezvous and started looking around at some of the markers that, you know, kind of grace the property, giving you highlights from some of the more famous of the mountain men. And one thing led to another. And anyway, this one talks about that rendezvous of 1838, one of the last big ones. and after that it pretty much faded into oblivion. But this is called One Last Time. Well, the beaver trade was winding down, all agreed without a doubt. That was silk, all the fashion now, for prices had dropped out. Still they met one final time again in 1838 to trade and make a final call about what would be their fate. This weren't no group of innocents, but hardened seasoned men who'd seen many a winter come and go, yet still would come again to trap and hunt and open up the trails that all led west. As men go, their toughness put them far above the rest. One last time to get together and to celebrate the past. One last time to trade their blues for truck and to make some memories last. One last time to cross the mountains and walk free upon this land. One last time to see each other and to toast the life that's grand. The mountain's goodness clean down to its pith, and like Coulter, Bridger, Beckworth, and old Jedidiah Smith. For most it wasn't money, but adventure they did seek, like Osborne, Russell, Harris, Glass, Kit Carson, and Joe Bean. Most agreed it was the time of life to seek out other thrills, instead of trapping to and fro across these rocky hills. Head back to old St. Louis or just maybe farther west. Each one decided for themselves which way would be the best. One last time to get together and to celebrate the past. One last time to trade their blues for truck and to make some memories last. One last time to cross the mountains and walk free upon this land. One last time to see each other and to toast the life that's grand. There was magic on Paposia Creek in 1838. As far as trapping gear's concerned, it really wasn't great. But the legacy that these men left will never be denied. A final tribute to those left and to the ones who died. One last time to get together and to celebrate the past. One last time to trade their blues for truck and to make some memories last. One last time to cross the mountains and walk free upon this land. One last time to see each other and to toast the life that's grand. One last time to see each other and to toast the life that's grand.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank
One last
Isn't
time.
that a great song?
One last time. I love it.
Thanks for joining me, Pard. I hope you had a good time at the Rocky Mountain National Rendezvous. I know I did. Hey, be sure to like, subscribe, and be sure to leave a comment. Until next time, keep your powder dry and your moccasins moving, and as always, black powder matters.